Well, President Biden's newly announced infrastructure plan includes $100 billion to step up efforts surrounding rural broadband, an issue recently underscored amid the pandemic. Former AT&T attorney and president of Vertical Consultants, Hugh Odom, joined us now for a breakdown of this investment. And Hugh, thank you so much for being with us today. Such a timely topic. Let's talk about how the internet and wireless services in rural America, how they are actually addressed in this $2 trillion infrastructure plan.
Yeah, it's one of the big issues that we've been talking about, this digital divide. And as President Biden said in his speech, there's about 35% of rural America not getting access to broadband or wireless services. That's about 30 million people across the United States that don't have access. And it's really emphasizing the bill has money, as you mentioned, $100 million geared toward building out broadband and wireless services to address these people and their needs.
So talk a little bit more about that. How will that money be spent?
Okay. The breakdown is kind of twofold. The majority of that money is going to be spent on infrastructure for the broadband internet. Some is going to be for wireless 5G service. We'd like to see more toward the 5G service. We think that's the longer-term solution. The other part of that money, which is the minority of that, is going to be spent in subsidies for people who can't afford broadband or internet or other services. So people are getting a $50 subsidy to get that internet service, because it's not only access, it's the ability of people to pay for it as well.
Now, of course, we don't get political on RFD, so we're not trying to take one side or the other, but let's talk about the pros and cons of this plan as you see it.
Well, the pros is addressing an issue that needs to be addressed as soon as possible. And whether this is a solution or another solution that needs to be addressed. So it's getting it out there, it's putting money toward that issue that's out there. The cons are that we see this as possibly a step toward a nationalization of broadband and internet service or wireless service could be an issue. We would like to see it more on the state and local level. The other issue is that even though this is addressing some of those needs, it's addressing it at a substandard level. It's much like what they have basically compared this to as the Rural Electrification Act of 1936. However, electricity really hadn't changed in 100 years. But if what they're providing to people out there under this $100 million act is basically, think of if you had a house and you live in an urban area and you got electricity to heat and electrify your whole house. This only provides 25% of the same level of service to rural America. So it needs to be upped. And the third point is it needs to be a broader scope for future growth, because it doesn't provide for that. It just puts a Band-Aid on a bigger problem.
Right, right. Like you say, technology changes almost every day. Have you heard about any discussions of a plan offered by Republicans, maybe an alternative?
Yeah, Senator Tim Scott has introduced from South Carolina, has introduced a States Fix Act. And that puts more money in the local government's pocket and the state government's pocket to address this on a cooperative basis with private sector companies who can address both the broadband issue, the wireless issue, and it provides a quicker path to do that. And it's more of a state and local owned facility in cooperation with private enterprise. We believe that's a better alternative.
Right. Got to have those two working together.
Yes,
Thank you, Hugh. We're going to visit with you a little more here in just a minute. That is President of Vertical Consultants, Hugh Odom. What great information today as we move forward with this.